Well, here on the first tee, we are just moments away from the beginning of our 18-hole stroke play competition between Canada's George Knudson and America's Gene Littler for a total purse of $10,000 in prize money. And now our contestants, Gene Littler and George Knudson. The Royal Ottawa's opening hole is a tight-driving 465-yard par 5 with trees on the right, out of bounds on the left, and a fairway which crests some 300 yards up. Well, Gene, the match is all set to get underway, and here's the former United States Open champion, Gene Littler.
George, here's a fellow that's got one of the finest swings I've ever seen in golf. You know, he's only 35 years old, and I think he's got a lot of great golf ahead of him.
And Gene hit a drive pretty much to the left here on the first hole. There's out of bounds over there. And the tee shot went through the gallery and toward the trees. It may be all right. We'll have to wait and see. Gene, that was a little close, but apparently his ball stopped safely on the left-hand rough. And now here is Toronto's George Knudson.
George Knudson, you know, is a fine golfer. He's always experimenting with his swing. He's a great player, this boy.
Boy, he caught that one right on the middle of the club face, down the safe right side of the fairway, and that'll be out there. George Knudson's opening tee shot down the right-hand side into the upslope of the fairway, about 250. He has a long, long second shot. Will take a 3-wood from an extreme uphill lie, and due to the high trajectory he is bound to get, I doubt that he can reach the green in 2. He's hit a beautiful shot, a little bit left, and will be to the left of the green and down in a swale. Gene Littler got a pretty good break here in his opening tee shot. Hooked it almost out of bounds, but hit the crest of the fairway and kicked about another 25 yards or so. He must be out there 280 with a hanging lie, and he will play a 2-iron shot to this small green. Hit it low, but got it up nicely off that bad lie. And just to the edge, if not on the green. George Knudson with a real cute shot here on the first hole. He's missed the green to the left. He's way below its surface, about 40 yards from the hole with a tight lie. He cannot even get a sand wedge underneath that ball. He's going to take a 5-iron and try to play a bump shot, bump it into the bank and run it on the green. And he did. Fine shot. Gene Littler just off the left front portion of the green in the fringe, about 45 feet from the hole, and Genie's going to putt it. I think pros do that every time they get a chance, don't they?
Yeah, they use that putter every opportunity they get. That's a dangerous one there, though. Watch the way that ball will fly out of there.
These greens have been mowed close, and they're a little bit fast. Pretty fine putt, wouldn't you say?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Just about, maybe 2.5, 3 feet, and he'll have that putt to begin with a birdie 4.
The players nowadays, George, use that putter as much as they can.
It's got to be the percentage shot, hasn't it?
Oh, yes.
Well, Gene Littler's up there for what will look like a fairly sure birdie. And in order to match that, George Knudson would have to hole this putt from maybe 18 or 20 feet. By on the left about 2 feet. Par 5 for George Knudson, even par after 1 hole here at the Royal Ottawa. This boy's got a fine putting stroke, Gene.
He's got a fine swing, fine everything.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen any wrist on this one. Absolutely not. A birdie 4 for Gene Littler, and he has a one-stroke lead after the first hole. The second hole at 195 yards is a demanding par 3. It is all uphill, playing through a narrow aisle of trees and over a deep swale, as it approaches a well-bunkered green set atop a steep rise. There's out of bounds both left and to the rear of the putting surface. Littler was home here with a 3-iron, and Knudson managed to get inside him with the same club. Gene Littler has a downhill putt, which ought to break a little bit from his right to left, and that's got to be 30 feet, Gene, anyway.
Oh, yes. Good putt to lay dead, but nowadays they go for them.
Let's see how he plays it. No, you're right. He was just trying to cozy that down there. Yeah. Left with a foot or so short of the hole. And taps in for a par 3 to remain 1 under. You may hear a lot of traffic noise. The first 2 holes here at Royal Ottawa play right along the road. Gene, here's a different type of putt, uphill about maybe 25 feet.
See, this George Knudson is a bold putter. You'll notice that he'll go past that hole more times than Littler will.
Go past it he did, just missing by a cat's whisker on the right. George taps her in for a par 3 to remain even par, but nonetheless he remains a stroke behind. The third hole at the Royal Ottawa Golf Club is a par 4 of 420 yards. It plays from an elevated tee out over a ditch and past a fairway bunker some 185 yards down the right side. The approach must bypass another bunker 35 yards short and to the right of an undulating rectangular green. Both Knudson and Littler hit the green in the regulation 2 strokes. Gene, here on the third green, both these players have left themselves below the hole, which I guess is where you want to be.
Yes, you want to be putting up to these holes. It's better than coming down.
Knudson's putt about 25 feet. George Knudson, as you see, putting with a blade-type putter with a flange, rather small bronze putting head.
That one he hit a little too hard.
A little too bold, Gene, huh? About 5 feet past, and you may have seen it catch the left lip of the cup and jump. Now, he's got a cute one coming back.
Yes, he has, and it's not very comfortable. Not when you have a fellow like Littler putting for a birdie.
From about 15 feet or so. Gene Littler using a bullseye type of putter, very popular with many of the pros. You call that one, Squire?
Makes this putt very hard now.
Well, there can be a difference of 3 strokes here. If Knudson's not careful, Littler has moved to 2 under par after 3 holes. Boy, there was never any question about that one. That was right in the heart all the way. George has this to remain even par. He mishit it.
He wasn't bold on that one.
No, he seemed to mishit a little bit. On the 410-yard par 4 fourth, which Littler parred routinely, the Royal Ottawa began to show its teeth. Knudson found trouble off the tee. George Knudson, as you see, in the left rough, about 235 yards off the tee, partially behind a tree. He is in the bag now looking for, looks to be about a 5-iron, I would guess. As he mentioned to Gene Sarrazin, he's going to have to draw it, hit it from right to left around the tree, punch it low beneath some branches, and try to get it on the green. Hit branches, hit some more branches, and still put it on the green. Fine shot. Right to the edge. Despite a brilliant recovery, George would have to get down in 2 from 60 feet to save his 4. And he gunned his approach putt 6 feet past. It looked very much like a bogey in the making. But the ball walked all the way around the cup and fell in to continue Knudson 3 strokes behind at 1 over par. On the 5th, a rather short par 4 of 355 yards, it was Littler's turn to stray off the fairway. While his opponent was carding a routine par, Gene sliced his drive to the right into a deep ravine. Gene Littler has gone in the bag for what looks to be, maybe a 7-iron. The ball must rise quickly enough to clear the bank. If it goes up too sharply, Gene could conceivably hit those branches and drop right straight down. And he hit the bank and dropped right straight down, and he may have a little better opening from over there, but all he was able to do was improve his lie. For his third stroke, Littler required more loft, and he settled on a 9-iron. This time, the ball flew out cleanly through the narrow gap of trees and disappeared in the direction of the blind green. It found the putting surface some 35 feet from the hole. But when Gene took 2 to get down, he was only 2 strokes ahead at 1 under par. On the Royal Ottawa 6, the rather short par 3 of 135 yards, Knudson assumed the honor for the first time and chose an 8-iron. The slow-motion camera would reveal his compact 3/4 backswing, as well as a rather pronounced sitting down to the ball movement just before impact, reminiscent of the great Byron Nelson. George hit the green and 2-putted for his par to remain 1 over. Littler would display one of golf's most economical and effortless swings. It would differ in one respect from that of most of the other top touring pros. It is characteristic of his action that through impact and for a split second after, the entire inside edge of his right foot remains in contact with the ground, whereas most of his contemporaries are up on their right toes at this point. Gene also matched the card to remain 2 strokes ahead at 1 under par. There was no change in the match when the 7th hole was also halved in regulation figures. The 225-yard 8th is a man-sized par 3, which plays all uphill to a plateau green, bunkered on either side and falling sharply from back to front. Ladies and gentlemen, here's George Knudson on what is certainly as tough a par 3 hole as you'll have to find any place. It takes lots of power. You have to be dead straight. You can catch the bunkers on either side. And you cannot play short. You have to carry the green to get it on the putting surface. George will hit a 4 wood. This hit wood is a pretty fair-looking shot if it's up. And it's up, but it is not going to stop, and it will come way back to the left rear corner of the putting surface, even though it hit just short of pin high on the left. Here, as at the 6th hole, Gene Littler will have the advantage of playing second. You can possibly hear a jet aircraft overhead. He saw Knudson well past the pin with that forward due to a little following wind, so I imagine he might choke down a little bit on this club or ease up in some way and try not to hit it quite as full. Gene's headed way, way off to the right. It will not come anywhere near the green, just gets over a bunker and stops in the rough, pin high on the right. Gene Littler with a real tough shot coming up. He's just about pin high in rough beneath trees off the green to the right, 70 feet or so. He cannot try to pitch the ball onto the green because the green falls away from him and there'd be no way that he could stop it. So he has a 7-iron. Will try to bank that into the shoulder of the green and then run it over that mound onto the green. Plenty of touch required here. Good shot, but a little bit too much of it.
George, this is a pretty tricky putt. He's got to gauge this one just right.
Well, this is the second time that I can remember that he's been past the hole, and he's well past it here. 45 feet, every bit of that. How's that going to break, left to right, Gene?
Yeah, he's got a left to right break there, but the speed is the most important part of this putt. There he is again.
Well, he's going to have another one of those nerve-wrackers going back. You know, that's funny, Gene, because here he has a great chance to pick up a shot on Littler.
Yeah, I would have putted that very close to the hole without trying to hold it. You see, now Littler has an idea that if he holds this, he might pick up a stroke.
It's from 25 feet. Missed it on the high side and put it 4.5 feet past.
Well, they can't say there's anything wrong with this green. It's beautiful.
Just a little bit faster than they think, Gene. George Knudson has 7-8 foot putt. Isn't that funny? He's been bowled with every putt but the one he should have gotten up to the hole.
Yeah.
Well, there's a 3-putt green and a bogey 4. It's going to move George to 2 over par. Pretty good on those short putts. George, we were speculating as to why you were quite as bold as you were coming from the back of the green, or was that completely unintentional?
Completely unintentional. I just seem to have a little trouble getting the right speed down here today.
Have you had that trouble during the summer, George?
No, really I haven't. Well, the greens look a little slower than what they actually are, I guess.
Because you're belting that ball. It looked to me coming down that hill there. The minute you hit it, I said, oh, boy, that's way past.
I knew it was gone, too, unfortunately.
We have now completed 8 holes, and just double-checking the scorecard, you're 2 over and Gene's even, George, right?
Right.
Well, now we move to number 9, see what happens.
All righty.
On the Royal Ottawa's 9th hole, a 395-yard par 4, doglegging slightly to the left, George Knudson continued with the honor. He hit a high, hooking drive in the direction of a deep swale, which crosses the fairway some 225 yards out. The ball would finish in a good level lie, and George had carried a wandering creek hidden in the swale with yards to spare. Littler, still carefully nursing his 2-stroke lead, seemed to hit one of his better drives to this point in the match, but fell victim to one of those unfortunate breaks that are an intrinsic part of the game of golf. Golf is a funny game. George Knudson hit a rather sharp hook on this 9th hole, carried it over the creek about 260 yards into a perfect lie. Gene Littler hit a gorgeous drive, caught a mound of soft earth on the right, and it stopped with a hanging lie 5 yards short of Knudson's ball, believe it or not. He has an 8-iron and has to use that much loft to get the ball up, but can he reach the green? And there is some golf shot. Beautiful golf shot from a very poor lie. Well, that shot of Littler's may have shaken George Knudson up a little bit. I imagine he could see Gene missing the green with ease, but miss it he did not. And Knudson now will hit a 6-iron. He cracked a low shot in the direction of the green and put it to the right rear corner of the green. Well, here in the 9th, both players are past the pin and to the right and above it. And Gene, both these putts will be a little tricky coming downhill, I would think.
Knudson's putt is a little tricky, and Littler's got a straight putt into that hole there. He'd have to hold that one.
George is from about 25 feet. Four inches short, Gene. He just grinned, and Lieutenant said something to Gene, who grinned back. The putt short at 8, short at 9, so George will finish the front 9, 2 over par 36. Now, Gene Littler has 2 putts for here for an even par front 9 of 34, par being 34 out, 36 in for a total of 70. This is a 15-footer. Gene just hung his head. Boy, I don't know how the heck that one stayed out. It seemed to go inside the right lip of the cup. So Gene will finish even par 34 with a 2-stroke lead, and that was a very interesting front 9, Gene.
I would say so. They both drove pretty well, but as a whole, I was a little disappointed in the putting because these greens look like they're beautiful to putt on, and you take George Knudson took 20 putts. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why he's 36, and Littler was very conservative on the greens. He was just trying to get close. And he didn't hold any spectacular putts.
No, but did very, very well in not 3-putting any greens.
No, but he was 34, which is very good golf on that 9.
On the Royal Ottawa's 10th hole, Gene Littler maintained his 2-stroke lead as both players matched the card. On the 11th, a rather short par 3, Knudson put himself in great position to make a move. He spanked a firm 8-iron, which arched high against the blue-gray Canadian sky, bounced once, and pulled up a scant 5 feet from the hole. When the best Littler could do was manage a par 3, George had a fine opportunity to pick up a stroke. Unfortunately for him, he seemed to jab his putt somewhat and pushed it off to the right of the hole. So the young Canadian remained 2 over par and 2 strokes behind. On the 12th, the second consecutive short par 3, Knudson continued to keep the pressure on. Again, he had the honor. Again, he hit an 8-iron, and again his ball split the pin all the way. George was within birdie range for the second hole in a row, while his opponent barely got his tee shot on the green. George Knudson may have an opportunity here at 12 to close the gap. He is no more than 6 feet from the hole, and Gene Littler's got a good 25-footer if it's an inch.
And he's putting right up against the green.
Tough to bring yourself to hit this hard enough to get it to the hole.
Yes, you can hit it too hard, too, you know.
I would say he hit it just about right. Beautiful birdie putt for Gene Littler, and once again he is 1 under par. And George's putt just got a little longer.
Yeah, it puts a little pressure on him.
The 13th hole at the Royal Ottawa Golf Club is a good, strong, straightaway par 4 of 440 yards. George Knudson tried to pump out an extra big drive, but pushed the ball way to the right. He barely kept it in the fairway, some 240 yards out. Gene Littler continued his steady, methodical round, sending another tee shot flying straight down the middle. He got fairly good roll off the lush turf and finished close to 260 yards off the tee. Knudson had a 4-wood of close to 200 yards left and would have to keep the ball low to stay beneath tree branches dead ahead. He hit a truly fine golf shot, which caught the front of the green, but failed to hold. Littler, with a completely open shot, dropped all the way down to a 5-iron. At no time did it look to be enough club. And sure enough, Gene hit well short and just did manage to roll onto the green. George now faced a tight little pitch of better than 50 feet from over the back of the green. And he wedged it close enough to have an excellent chance of saving the par. Gene Littler has left himself quite a bit short of the hole here in 13, maybe 40 feet or so.
Well, he's got that 2-stroke lead, and he's going to try to hang on to it. He's not going to play any wild shots, not if he can help it.
How do you think this one might break?
It'll break a little to the right. See it?
Not quite enough, though, huh?
Well, he hit the putt so firm that it didn't get a chance to break.
Too hard, yeah. Beautiful putt, nonetheless, about 3 feet from the hole. Boy, Gene, I thought that the second shot that Knudson hit was as fine a looking shot as I'd ever seen. Just a little too much of it.
Yeah, a little too much club, but, you know, that ball took an awful jump.
Well, he just put up some 4 or 5 feet to scramble a 4.
This is a very important putt.
Gene, that could really be costly.
Yeah. See, Littler didn't like that. He knocks that one in. Now he's relaxed.
Yeah, and that puts George 2 over par after 13 holes. That may be a very big mess. And Gene Littler made his 4 to remain 1 under. And again, Gene, now he has opened up a 3-stroke lead, and we are getting fairly late in the match here at the Royal Ottawa Golf Club on Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. Royal Ottawa's 455-yard par 5 14th is a possible birdie hole for the player who can hit a long, straight drive down the well-defined corridor of trees. To get home in 2, the long second must thread 2 bunkers well short of the green and avoid additional traps at the entrance to the 100-foot deep putting surface. Both players have driven better than 250 down this 14th fairway, with George Knudson just slightly away. Both have a pretty good chance of reaching the green on this par 5 hole in 2. Knudson will hit a 3-wood. Seems to have hit a perfect shot. And put it on the green. Look at that shot. He'll have a putt for an eagle 3. Now, La Jolla, California's Gene Littler, as mentioned, about 5 yards past Knudson off the tee. Where Knudson hit a 3-wood, Littler will hit a 4-wood. That seems pulled left. One bounce, and in the bunker. It almost rolled through, but it will stay in the trap. Gene Littler is bunkered short and left of the pin here at the 14th green. He is 60 feet. 1 foot in the trap, 1 foot out. Almost in the hole on one hop, Gene.
There's where you see class, huh?
Beautiful bunker shot, about 6 or 7 feet from the hole.
You know, he didn't have such an easy shot up against the side of that bunker because you have to get the ball just right.
My golly, he did. Well, here on the 14th green, something might very well be in the process of happening, Gene, because George Knudson has the first eagle putt of the match from about 25 feet.
Well, George, he's due for a putt.
If ever a man was, he sure is. There's one happy young fella. And boy, I'll tell you, the gallery loves it. Gene Littler, a birdie putt. Side hill about 7 feet. I'll tell you, you just don't see any steadier players than that. The Royal Ottawa's 435-yard par 4 15th may well be the hardest hole on the course. The key here is the drive, as the terrain falls sharply to the left, and the only available level lie for the second shot is a relatively narrow shelf of fairway to the right, just short of a swale and a hidden creek. Both Knudson and Littler were flawless off the tee. Two absolutely perfect drives here on the 15th, both staying up on top, short of the swale. Gene Littler about 255 yards, and I would say George Knudson perhaps some 5 yards past that. Littler away will hit a 5-iron. And characteristically, he started to the right and started to draw it in. Hit way, way short of the green and will not make the green. George Knudson and his caddy were talking and debating between a 4 and a 5-iron. Littler seemed to hit his shot very well. Came up short, so perfectly possible now that Knudson's going to take one more club and hit a 4-iron. Much lower trajectory. Must have been 4. Hit and took a very bad kick to the left. And over the green on the left. There is a bad break. And Gene Littler is a good 90 feet from the pin with a very tight lie on the fairway. And where he might normally use a 7-iron, he's going to have to take a little more loft. He's going to chip with an 8. Didn't carry it on the green. It caught on the fringe, and he is really coming up short on this hole. 2 shots in a row. George Knudson has a shot from the fringe of a good 40 feet. Apparently will putt it.
He's going to use that sure shot putter he's got.
Texas wedge.
He's been pretty strong with this putter.
Well, he lies 2 and his opponent 3. It'd be a good place to get it close. Didn't really hit an awfully good shot.
No.
It's got to be a hard thing to judge, Gene, when you're coming out of that fringe as to how the ball will take off.
Well, these fellas get a lot of practice at that, playing so many tournaments, you know. They don't pull out a lofted club until they have to.
Well, George Knudson left it 4 feet short, and now Gene Littler will try to save a par 4 from about, I would say, 17 or 18 feet. Gave it a great try and missed just a little bit on the left. So Gene's going to make a bogey 5, and he will move now to 1 under par. This is a pretty big putt right here, Gene.
Yeah, he wished he had that one about 6 inches from the cup. I know that's the way many a time I felt.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's been given the opportunity. We'll see whether or not he can capitalize on it.
Mm-hmm. He did. Very good putt.
Not bad at all. So 15 holes complete. Gene Littler 1 under par, but now leading by but a single stroke on Shell's Wonderful World of Golf. George Knudson continued with the honor on the Royal Ottawa's 370-yard par 4 16th. The slow-motion camera furnished an excellent study of the young Canadian's unusually wide driving stance as well as the use he makes of this solid foundation to draw a great deal of power from his legs. A 4 here for George to continue him at even par. Littler again demonstrated one of golf's most repeating swings, so near perfect technically as to reduce to a minimum the margin for error. A par for Gene also to preserve his slender one-stroke lead and set the stage for the climactic last 2 holes. On the Royal Ottawa Golf Club's 335-yard par 4 17th, George Knudson hit the green in 2, while his opponent was unable to do so. Gene Littler may have made a very costly mistake here at the 17th hole. That, of course, remains to be seen, but he pushed a short approach into the bunker at the right. The green runs downhill away from him, and he has a shot here of perhaps about 50, 55 feet, exploding, of course, with a sand iron. Well, he almost pitched it in the hole, but nonetheless he wound up about 9 or 10 feet past. He'll have that to save a par. Well, here on the 17th green, the tension is getting just a little bit thick. Gene Littler has marked his ball, which is pretty close to being in George Knudson's line.
George, this is a pretty tough putt to lay dead.
Well, every bit to 40 feet, I would say, and over the lower part of the hogback, which runs from the center of the screen back to front.
He's way short. That was a hard putt to judge.
Very hard, Gene, I would say. He's about 5 feet from the 10 feet away.
You see, there was an opportunity of laying the ball dead, making this putt of Littler's very hard.
Well, Gene would have to get this down to save a par 4.
He's got quite a little drop in there.
Big fall from left to right, Gene. That's going to cost Gene Littler a bogey 5, and he returns to even par. And now this becomes the biggest single putt of the match right here.
He saw that drop there. I looked at Littler's ball in the line there, and I could see about a 6-inch drop.
Well, as the old saying goes right now, Gene, things are as tight as a new pair of shoes. Huh?
Yeah, we got a new ball game, huh?
The match is absolutely dead square as we go to the home hole. Both players even par at the Royal Ottawa Golf Club on Shell's wonderful world of golf. The Royal Ottawa's 535-yard par 5 18th is a strong finishing hole, playing straight back toward the clubhouse, down a fairway which drops sharply 225 yards out. Even after a long drive to the lower level, getting home in 2 is almost impossible, as a meandering creek cuts across the fairway just 10 yards short of a steep rise, leading to a well-contoured shelf green. Both Littler and Knudson have driven it in the fairway here at 18, about 255 yards or so, with Gene just slightly away over on the left side of the fairway. He's going to take a 4-wood and just try to lay up short of the water. And he started it well to the right, swinging it back in, puts it on the hill to the right, and it will go down to the fairway, but he will have rather an extreme side hill lie for his pitch to the green. Now George Knudson, also hitting a 4-wood, laying up short of the water hazard. And he also hit it well to the right, staying away from the lateral water hazard on the left. Caught it in the fairway, and he is down there where he should have a pretty good level lie for his pitch to the green. George Knudson lies 2 here on the 18th, about 100 yards short of this elevated green. He's going to play a pitching wedge, and this is a very difficult shot to judge. There's a following wind, about 45 feet of green short of the pin and about 20 feet of green past the pin. Could be a wonderful shot, but strong and over the green, and he'll have a little fluffy lie in the fringe about 5 feet over the back of this green to contend with. The door is now open for Gene Littler. He's about 85 yards short of the green. The side he'll lie with the ball above his feet. He's going to play a pitching wedge and must guard against pulling it. And he came up short and did not make the green. Well, the tension here is really mounting on 18. Gene Littler's approach pitched short in the bank. He is, I'd say, 60 or 65 feet short of the pin and not lying particularly well. Snug lie, and he's going to play a 9-iron. and try to chip this up close enough to make a sure 5 and finish even par. As his opponent has a very difficult chip shot from the back of the green to play. He's choked way, way down on that 9-iron, right down to the steel part of the shaft for better control. 3 to 4 feet away. Now Gene Littler has marked his ball and George Knudson a little downhill lie in fluffy grass, maybe 5 or 6 feet back of the 18th green. He's going to have to take a pitching wedge and try to put a little cut on this ball to get some soft fall, and the green definitely falls away from him. His biggest danger here is blading it and going well past the hole. And you see him, he's got that club face wide open. He hit a little chili dipper. He did not carry it on the green. Caught the knoll, the fringe, and he left it a good 10 feet short. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. It has come right down to the 2 final putts for the $10,000 purse, $7,000 to the winner, 3 to the loser, $5,000 each in the event of a tie. George Knudson, a 10-foot downhill putt for a par 5 and an even par round of 70. So George Knudson, a fine try that just fell short, 1 over par, 71. Now Gene Littler, a putt of about 4 feet, which if he holds it, will give him an even par round of 70 and the first place money of $7,000. And hold it, he did. Gene Littler, even par 70, the winner by 1 stroke. Gentlemen, we'd like to thank both of you for appearing and putting on a great match. It was a very, very thrilling finish, and congratulations to you both. You both played very, very well.